All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I see people beginning to populate the room here. I will just give you a second to join us. But while we're waiting, if you can go ahead and put your name in the chat box and say where you're joining us from. We've had people from all over the country so far, so it's just cool to see. When you're addressing the chat, make sure in the to byline where there's a little drop down that you choose all panelists and attendees, not just all panelists.
First two from Chesapeake College together.
Hi,
Hi, Ramona. Jinx. Everyone.
Hi, Carol. Seeing some of your peers. Jamie,
Warwick.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Virginia.
Awesome.
I always get excited when it's something outside of Maryland. I saw an Oregon this morning and I thought that was very exciting.
I actually had the exact same thought. Like, oh, cool.
I know, right? All the way.
Yeah.
AACC, I actually went there. That's where I did my first year of school.
Oh, cool. Awesome. So
good mix.
Yeah. As these continue to roll in, just continue to make sure that you're putting all panelists and attendees so everyone can see where you're joining us from. So good morning. My name is Gina Davis, and I am an education program specialist with the Maryland Department of Labor. I'm going to be your facilitator of services this morning, but you will be hearing from Jen and Stephanie. So if you have any issues with technology along the way, feel free to shoot me a chat directly or shoot me an email. All of the information for all of our sessions is available on mdadultedvti.org. So if you can't find how to get proof of participation or access to the recordings, everything will be available on our website, hopefully before the end of the month. We'll do our best to get everything out as quickly as possible. So that is that. This is going to be a quick session, so it'll be 30 minutes. Jen and Stephanie are holding their feet to the fire and making sure that all of the content is relevant and quick and easily interpreted into your own instruction. However, if there's time for you after the fact to go through their Wakelet or their presentation, you can do that then, but they're giving quick snippets on ways that they have made their online classes more engaging, which I think is wonderful. I'm going to quickly launch our polls so that we can see who is joining us. So go ahead and choose an option that best fits what your role is within your program. And then I will pass it over to my gals here in just a moment as soon as we get this poll completed. Oh, our Oregon person again, Charla. Good to see you. Welcome. Okay, so I'm going to share the results here. So we have a lot of ESL instructors, which is great because Jen and Stephanie will give examples of ESL content. However, this is not ESL specific. These are techniques that can be utilized regardless of where you teach or how you teach, or if you're an IS, how you instruct others to teach. So that's great. So I'm going to stop my sharing results here and go ahead and pass it over to Jen and Stephanie. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us and we hope you enjoy.
Good morning. Welcome to 5 quick tips for engaging online classes. I'm Jen Bonsteel. I'm an ESL instructional specialist with Worcester County Public Schools Adult Education. We're out at the beach in case you don't know where that is, on the shore.
I am Stephanie Smith. I am an ESL instructor for Worcester County Public Schools Adult Ed, and I am actually in Ocean City right now. So that's where we are. We're right on the Atlantic Ocean, and we're going to give you 5 quick tips. We're really going to try to make it quick for you guys. There's been awesome presentations so far. We just want to say thanks to everyone. The VTI has been great so far. Hopefully we can add something for you guys.
Okay, so in the interest of speed, you do not need to take notes on any of the links that we share or our slides anyway, because we have that Wakelet for you. We'll put the link in the chat box, but also that QR code will take you there. Our slides are there and a bunch of links for tech tools that can help support our quick tips today.
So as first, I'm gonna, oh, thank Thank you, Gina. So the Wakelet link is in the chat box for you. And I'm also asking you guys to put some of your most significant challenges that you face teaching online classes, or if you're an IS that you've seen your instructors face teaching online classes. I know we've really gone through it the past year or so. So digital skills. Yes, digital literacy has been something for us. You have students that some who can't even turn on the computer, and then you have other students who know way more than I do about digital literacy, internet issues. We have that sometimes with a lot of people down here. Very good, yeah. Engagement. So hopefully we'll be talking about that one again. So hopefully we addressed a lot of those issues, definitely the participating and engaging. So hopefully, and also if you have some tools that you use as we go through and you have tools that you can drop in there for us, it's going to be a place of sharing and learning from each other today. Good, very good answers. We're going to try to address them.
Okay, so this presentation actually came about because despite all of those same challenges that we had in our program as you guys, Stephanie really had a great year in terms of retention as well as level gains for her students. And so we sort of got together and said, okay, what is working here and how can we share that with others? So today we're going to share what we have sort of dubbed our top 5 tips or methods for creating those really engaging online classes. We're going to share with you some of our favorite tech tools. We're not going to be doing demos. Again, we're going for fast, but we have those all linked in our Wakelet if you want to go play around with them later. And a lot of these are just good reminders, things that you might already know, but sort of have slipped your mind with all the other distractions of trying to get everything together during this crazy year. So our hope is that today you leave with a new strategy or a new tech tool that you can begin implementing in your instruction right away.
And I did notice just a few people talking about students keeping their video off and how that's a challenge for them. So what I do want to say is I do not require my students to keep their videos on. I know that's different teachers have different opinions on that. So my hope is that these 5 tips will reach your students, even if their video is not on, even if their child is next to them talking, that this will be able to reach through the computer and sort of get that energy and attention back. So.
And I will say Stephanie's flexibility with the video monitoring has really helped a lot of our students to stick with class. Not even it was a different teacher's class as well. Like we had a brand new mom, so she would turn her screen off to change a diaper or feed the baby or whatever. And Stephanie's even had some that joined from their break at work and they can't always have their camera on, but they've really been able to stick with class due to that flexibility. So not always a bad thing to not have your camera on, but yeah, we've definitely seen that. So first up is create a sense of community in your classroom. And it's no coincidence that we put this one first. These types of things are things that can maybe really slip through the cracks or fall by the wayside when life gets complicated. And we really feel like it's that important. We found that when students feel like they belong to the class as a group, a peer group, a friend group, they open up more, they participate more, and they attend more regularly because it's not just an opportunity to learn English, it's also an opportunity to see those friends. The first Zoom meeting we got up from our face-to-face to Zoom, everyone was so happy to see each other once again. And that is a testament to Stephanie's efforts to facilitate those community connections. We've also found that if you miss a class, you're going to get a text, not from the teacher, but from one of your peers in the class that says, hey, where were you? We missed you. And then those students are much more likely to return. So we really make an effort to invest our time in creating that sense of community among our students.
Well, there are some different ways to do this. My main goal for every class is it to be a safe space. There is a lot going on outside of the class with the pandemic, with their jobs, with their families, with immigration. We're the safe space for them. We are the break. So I always start class with a question. It could be a would you rather, it could be an icebreaker, it could be related to the topic we're going to study. My question yesterday was, how many pairs of shoes do you buy each year? It gets them speaking, and it's always a safe question. I do it with respect, and we also model expectations. I'm aware of the different personalities and cultures that sometimes I have to tell them we're all going to speak today. And so that sort of encourages them, and that there's no pressure. We're all going to make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes. We're going to learn from each other. So modeling a class culture that supports their curiosity, that supports taking chances while getting to know each other, for me has been the most like soul satisfying thing. And I think especially through the pandemic, having that sense of community has really encouraged them to keep coming back to class. And we'll touch on this a little bit later, but also bringing in realia. So local newspapers, sales ads for the outlets in Ocean City for the Memorial Day sale, different things to get them engaged and feel like they're a part of the space around them.
So I'm going to plug our Wakelet one more time. We have all of these, and actually we have a few more ideas on the Wakelet. So don't worry about taking notes if you are interested in any of these. But these are some of the ideas for how to go about that. Like Stephanie said, it can be as simple as a warm up or some sort of collaborative thing that they do in the beginning of class, but you could also take it a step further. Goose Chase is a digital scavenger hunt, and Stephanie's going to share a little bit about that we did. But also some of these social media style platforms like Google Classroom or Edmodo. But it could be as simple as taking a class photo with everybody in the screenshot, acknowledging people's birthdays, or if they have a good evaluation at work, really taking the time to invest in those personal connections. And as you'll see going forward, all 5 of our tips sort of overlap with each other and support each other. So you can make a couple of minor tweaks to your lesson plan or a couple of minor additions and really hit most of them in one go.
So Jen mentioned Goose Chase, and she was actually the one who introduced it to me, which is why I love these types of sessions and, us sharing ideas with each other. So Goose Chase is a digital scavenger hunt. It is a feed that sort of looks like Facebook or Instagram. It has the pictures come up with a caption and students can like it, but it's a private group. So there's nobody outside seeing the pictures. I really liked that safety of it. Also, the challenges, the teacher creates the challenge, so it can be tailored to the student's needs. You can say, go take a live picture of a cross street. We were having trouble with cross streets on the CASAS exams. So one of their things was they have to go and take a live picture of a cross street. Or this challenge was, what would they take on a desert island with them? And the student talked about her cat Batman and then her practical things. And then what we took from this is exactly Batman. Like everyone knows and loves Batman now. It made such a connection in this class. We know about Alex's car. People ask him about it when he comes in. We ask this student how Batman is. They developed relationships beyond the classroom with each other. And it's been really beneficial and cool to see. And it helps me as a teacher remember things about them. I know that can be a little challenging. So having it all right there in a social media feed, it's engaging, it's digital literacy, but overall it's that sense of community that makes them feel like you care, you know about them, they're just not a number to you. It really helped us develop that and built the engagement.
Yeah, and there's no commenting, but there is liking of other people's submissions. And you can do text-based, photo, or video. Not to plug my own VTI presentation, but I did do one in December. If you want to go check that out, it's in the archive, but it's really fun. We highly recommend. And they did most of this outside of class. So it was just sort of on their own time. And then they brought the benefits with them to the class. Okay. Tip number 2, gamify content. Gamify content does not simply mean just adding a bunch of games to your instruction, although that's super fun too. We'll talk about that. But gamify content means adding games typical of video games to your instruction. So having students work collaboratively, taking a big quest and breaking it up into smaller chunks and starting easy. In a video game, like the first level is always super easy, right? And then you're like, oh, I can totally do this. And then you work your way up. And so that kind of chunking and that kind of strategic scaffolding is part of gamifying content. Video games are a lot of trial and error. I tried this, I fell down a hole, I died, I'm gonna go try again, So it's sort of like that, allowing them to make mistakes and then learn from those mistakes rather than instantly correcting them. So adding some of those elements to your instruction, starting simple and working your way to progressively more difficult, and increasing the engagement that way. I think we found that as adults, we like the game parts too. Like, it is not just for kids. I found it always more fun to teach that way. And I saw the results of students preferring to learn that way. But we've seen through the different types of gamifying content, an emergence of skills that we didn't know that existed in students because they were kind of keeping it to themselves or didn't know that they had that. So different modalities, different ways for students to shine. And then we've seen, we have some competitive ones. So also adding some elements of competition really brought out the best in some of our students. And then adding just straight up games can be a great way to build that community, to take a break from content, and experience the content in a more relaxed and fun way. And then also great for informal assessment. So Stephanie's going to mention a couple of ways that we do that in class.
Okay, so like Jen mentioned, it's adding the game elements. It doesn't have to necessarily be playing games, which is also awesome, but adding some of the elements. So one way I did this was I used a leaderboard. We were using Burlington English, and I was trying to get them to do homework outside of class 2 hours a week. They started off strong, as they usually do, and then life gets in the way, and their hours started dipping. And I was just trying to think of ideas to make it more engaging, because there's no penalty for them not doing it. So what could I do to motivate them? So I made a weekly leaderboard. Each class, we looked at it, they moved up the leaderboard, they were trying to have a competition with each other, and it worked really well. Their numbers went up just by adding that game element, instead of me just telling them to do their homework every class. Then the next month, to make it a little different, they had to beat their time from last month. So the competition was against themselves rather than other students. And it really helped. It definitely got the hours back up where I was looking for. But like I said, it doesn't always have to be a competition. Students can work together. They can help each other. You can scaffold it for the different levels, different types of learners. And it's a way to practice their soft skills like teamwork by giving that support.
Okay, so there's a lot out there for adding games or gamifying your content. Stephanie's going to talk a little bit about how she uses digital Mad Libs, but even something as simple as the Wheel of Names. It's a website. You just add the names to the list and it puts them on a little wheel and spins and picks, and you can have it remove their name once they've been chosen or keep it in there and things like that. Just adding that element to who's going to be called on next or who's going to do this thing has it just makes class more fun. But you could also add sound effects or music or other game elements to your content to just boost that interactivity.
And again, these are all on our Wakelet, and they'll just be clickable links. So if you're not too familiar with Wakelet, it'll be the same list, but when you click on the link, it'll take you right to the website to help you find the sound effects. So I also wanted to touch on Wheel of Names really quickly, because Wheel of Names sounds so simple, and I actually learned about it building this presentation with Jen. I had never thought to use it in an online class, so I just incorporated the next class. I said, oh, let's give it a try. I really wasn't feeling that confident in it. It was such a hit. They were excited to answer questions. We were laughing. They loved when a student had to answer 2 in a row. So it really just added a different element to their questions that they would have to ask anyway. So now I'm like the biggest Wheel of Name fan. So I just had to talk about it. Also, this one I use sometimes with my students is digital Mad Libs. It's the traditional Mad Libs, just online. So you could use it to practice parts of speech. We've used it before to do verbs ending in ed, ing. We have the website on our Wakelet that has a lot of options, but it's quick, it's easy prep, and you can expand upon it. So maybe you do the funny one first, but then the students work together to write a real story about their class together. So this one, it's a fun way to get the idea started, and then you can take it a lot of different directions, and they're working together.
Tip number 3, mix it up. So this one's just like it sounds. Sometimes we get stuck in a rut, especially like we use a lot of Burlington, but it's always nice to be able to mix up that routine a little bit. So the goal here is that students feel comfortable coming to class. They're not on edge, but they don't want class to be so formulaic or predictable that it becomes boring to them. So varying your activities and the skills that you focus on provides more opportunities for students to find something that they really enjoy. And I think we've all been in enough Zoom meetings to know that this experience can be physically, emotionally, mentally draining. So breaking up your lesson into different types of activities really helps make the class time more manageable for both students and teachers, and helps us all prevent Zoom burnout.
We hope that's not one of them, which is
I know,
every
if
time
you're
I
feeling
heard that
burnout right now,
slide, I was like,
take a
just-
shake break.
I mean, just tell us, we'll play a game. Like, you want to play Mad Libs? Like, I promise
Except
there is
for
a
the whole
game
30
coming
minutes.
up in the next slide. Like, so hopefully it's not a burnout here. So we mix it up in a variety of ways. Burlington English is my main platform that I use in class, but every class, in addition to Burlington English, I'll bring in a video, I'll bring in a map, I bring in newspapers, something to scaffold and support those ideas. Not only will it reach your different types of learners, your different level learners, but it's going to help them build retention and comprehension of the material. So not only is it more engaging, but it'll help them learn the material more as well. Recently, I did a lesson on the invasion of Turtle Island or North America by the Europeans. And we read about it, we listened about it, but then the students really were engaged and connected with it. I found an NPR map, 30-second video of the invasion over 200 years. And that really opened up their minds. It introduced new conversation. It was a way to connect them to the material that maybe just reading the text or listening to it wasn't getting for them.
And again, there's lots that you can do to mix up your lesson. It really just takes a moment of reflection on, okay, what does my typical class look like? If you tend to be a little bit heavier on like the visual, maybe you mix it up with, if it's just static images, you could add video or music. If you do a lot of text heavy stuff, you could maybe take that and put it into a word cloud, or math wise, putting things into a graph. But just looking at what does my typical class look like and where could it use a little zhuzh, so switching up your activities and just breaking up the routine just a little bit so that it refreshes your students.
So one of my favorite ways to do this is ISL Collective. And I actually saw one of the presentations the other day, the presenter mentioned this, and it's a great resource. So with all of these resources, preview them, make sure they're right for your class. But this one, we had been learning time clauses before, after, while, as soon as, when. And ISL Collective has videos that when you play them, it shows you a clip from a movie or any YouTube video. You can also make your own if that's your thing. So here, and then the students will answer, Ellie will kiss Carl. The picture is taken. So if anyone wants to just drop it in the chat box for us, is it until the picture is taken, before, or as soon as? I know I love this clip from up. So this one, try again. What does somebody else think? Yay, Jen, good job with as soon as. And then I wouldn't do, there's 13, so I probably wouldn't do every one. I would do the first 6. So every student has the chance to do it. And again, preview them. I think some of us are familiar that up has the sad miscarriage scene at the end. I didn't want that triggering any students, so we cut that part off at the end. So this one, they will fix the house after they buy it. It's a way to mix it up, a way for them to have practice with something that's familiar to them, that they're excited to see.
Okay, so tip number 4, make it personal, actually has, am I back on the PowerPoint?
Yep, you got it. Yep.
before I go too far.
So you got it good.
So to make it personal, we actually mean this in two different ways. So one is connecting to your students, knowing what they're interested in, knowing what they get excited about. I had one group that was really into celebrities one year. So we were always talking about celebrities when we were working on adjectives or describing people or things like that, or, you know, even using them in a sentence. One year I had a whole bunch of Ravens fans. Woo. So just making those connections to the personal things that they enjoy and wrapping that into your content that way. But also for a lot of our students, they're new to the area. So one thing that Stephanie is particularly strong at is making those connections to the community and making it personal to Ocean City, Worcester County, so that they can learn about their new, I mean, some of our students have been here for years, but some of them are new. And so helping them feel that connection in class to their personal lives and also to the local area. She also makes connections to the industry she knows that they work in. A lot of our students are in hotels or the hospitality industry, and she makes a lot of those connections really just to tailor the content for what they're going to need or use the most. And so we find that, again, that's building that classroom community. They're talking about events in Ocean City, talking about things going on at work, talking about things in the community. They're seeing a real world application for the content, which helps them develop ownership and therefore increases engagement.
So again, a big part of this is to get to know your students. I always ask my students their goals and expectations for the class. I do it in the beginning, but I do it throughout the year. Like, okay, what do you want to learn next month? To encourage student agency, I will usually give them, before I plan the next month, I will give them 5 choices of topics they will vote on and choose the 3 topics they want to study the most. Or if it's a more advanced class, they will come to me with topics that they want to study. Like, let's do past progressive. I'm really struggling with this. And the other students will be like, yes, that's great. Or let's do making a budget. Okay, yeah. And they all want to do that. So it really gives them some sort of control, gives the practical aspects that they will use this in their life outside. And it's me meeting their needs. This is their class. So I'm trying to give them as many opportunities as I can to build their skills. And also, I am a big supporter of using translators in class to help build that confidence in expressing themselves. We were recently doing a lesson about a budget. I have a student from Turkey who has advanced degrees in finance, and she desperately wanted to tell us about, part of making a budget, and she was struggling. And I said, just put it in the translator. And we had to work together to figure out, translators aren't great, to figure out what it was she wanted to say. But after that, she opened up. She was taking chances, even if it wasn't the right word, to try to say those ideas.
Okay, so I'm going to go we're getting real close on
we're going to
time
be
here.
fast.
So
don't worry about it, guys.
These are, again, in our Wakelet. So there's some more ideas on there as well. Today's front pages is front pages of newspapers from all around the world, which can be a really cool home country connection, but also just local stuff from your area is great to bring in to help personalize the experience.
So Jamboard, great way to make it personal, great way to scaffold it. It's through Google. So if anyone's unfamiliar with it, it's through Google. You can put pictures in, give links to the students. They can move their names. You could make questions on the sticky pad. It's a great way to get real-time feedback from the students, and the scaffolding for different levels is just really beneficial with this one.
Okay. Last but not least is have fun. And this too has 2 parts. We're talking about your students, of course, but we're also talking about you as the teacher. I used to struggle with this a lot. I wanted everything to be content because I only had so much time with my students. And it did not take me long to figure out if I don't invest in making the class enjoyable, then I'm not going to have any students left to give that content. So it's a little bit about giving yourself that blessing to invest in the experience of your class to make sure that your students keep coming back. So big thing with adults, they get to choose, right? So they don't have to come to class. We need them to want to come to class. And we want them to see the time as enjoyable, but also as valuable. And we hope that today has shown that you don't have to invest, double the planning time to add some of these elements.
So you get what you put into your class. So the energy you put in, the enthusiasm, the care, the respect, that's what you're going to get back from your classes. I firmly believe that. And so give them lessons that you're excited to teach. Like, I look forward to going into my classes because I know they'll be getting skills that they need. We'll be enjoying it together. And it's a low pressure, safe place to learn.
Okay, so how can you do this in class? Incorporating humor, memes, cartoons, TV and movie. Steph's got a great example coming up. Referring back to things that you know that they enjoy or you know that they prefer. But it's important to note that having fun and being completely off task is not the goal here. And there may be a fine line, but I feel like adults can clearly handle that a little bit better than younger students. But our students are only going to keep coming to class if they feel that their time is being well used, well spent in class. So having fun is great for keeping everybody motivated, but they're also going to want to see progress. They're also going to want to see gains in their abilities. So not to confuse the two there. And then a couple of ideas, again, we have more on the Wakelet, feel free to go explore that, but having like a virtual background day where you teach them how to do fun Zoom backgrounds, the TV clips that Steph's about to show, and then Sporkle. Sporkle is like basically a time wasting site kind of with trivia, but it has a lot of language based games that make great warm-ups for ESL. So you can get lost very easily there. There's a ton of stuff, but if you look under their categories, they have a whole language category, which is great for getting them warmed up at the beginning of class, and they can work collaboratively.
So this is one of my favorite lessons I've ever taught, and I think it was one of my students' favorite lessons as well. It was actually a reward class for the homework competition. If they had met at least 80 hours of homework for that month, we would have a TV lesson because my students love TV, and I was bringing it in, making it personal. They had mentioned Friends was one of their favorite shows. On our Wakelet, there is a whole series on YouTube called Learn English with TV. It's a great way to teach like slang, culture, listening skills. So this one in particular, it was the 7 most common English expressions for daily use. I also pulled other ones out of there like ditto, sick of it. And the students really loved it for practical use. They were saying they were excited to go try it with their coworkers. I made them different situations and they had to pick the correct saying. Would you say like, I'm out of here or get over it? And so they were excited to try it out in a safe place, but then take it outside of the classroom. I heard ditto was one, and some students said, I've been here for like 4 years and I always thought ditto meant 2. So she was so like the number 2. So she was so happy to learn what ditto really meant. I heard the word a lot for the next 2 weeks in class, but it was one of my most effective lessons and we all had a lot of fun with it.
So if ditto makes a massive comeback, we're crediting you.
You're welcome. And sorry.
Okay, so we are running a little bit over, which is not a problem for Steph and I, but we do want to respect your time. We'll stay and answer questions if anyone wants to hang out. But just to wrap up, these are the 5 things that we thought led to the success that we saw this year, despite so many challenges with being exclusively online for so long. Create that sense of community, add some game elements to your instruction, mix up what you're doing every once in a while to really refresh your students in that setting, connect to them as their personal lives, their jobs, but also the community that they live in with you, and have a good time. And we hope that you had a good time. Once again, everything is on our Wakelet. Thank you, Gina, for keeping that relevant in the chat there. And
yes, thank you.
If you want to reach out about something in more detail, those are our emails right there.
And
but we will stay a few minutes if anyone wants to hang out and chat. But we are also here to steal from you guys. So if you have a really cool tech tool that you've been using to increase online engagement, please put that in the chat box, because we are hoping to leave here with an idea or two as well.
Yes, and I want to say thank you, Gina. This whole thing has been great. Like, I've learned a lot in the ones I've already attended. You guys were a great audience. Thank you for being so engaged in the chat box and giving great feedback. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us. We're around. We're always around. We love talking about this stuff. It's exciting. So, and we're always learning from each other.
So Stephanie, we have an example here, Bamboozle from Jen at CSM said that's
Yes,
a good one.
Bamboozle is a good one. See, it's like things and I love it. Thank you.
Excellent point.
I'm like
Jen.
keeping my
Thank
own
you.
list.
Yeah, the
of what to use.
stretching, especially if you're in a super long class, giving them a chance to stretch it out.
Definitely.
Say I need that for myself too. That's a good idea.
I know.
I'm going to start doing that. Thank you for that one. So
Yes.
everyone,
so thank you guys so much.
You.
This has been incredible. I actually like the speed dating way that this sort of went. I definitely encourage everyone to take a peek into the Wakelet that they created and just take some time to investigate and explore. And honestly, if you are like, well, how could I do this in my classroom? You know, they're an incredible resource. They're here for that reason. So feel free to reach out if you're like, I need an idea of how this can be used. Also, having seen Stephanie in action, she really walks the walk and talks the talk. She is a phenomenal instructor. So if you ever need examples, she's a great resource. But thank you guys so much for participating in today's session. I've put the feedback form in the chat a couple of times, but if you require proof of participation, a link to that is available on our website, mdadultedvti.org. I think you also get a follow-up email after the end of all of your sessions. But thank you everyone for participating today, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the Institute.
Thanks for having us, guys. Thank you. I'm sure we'll see you in the other ones. We'll see you as attendees. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.